you having revolving or if you're having installment loans, that's the kinds of credit that you have. So if you have a good mix, you've got some revolving, you've got some installment loans. Installment loans have a term. So like a car loan, it has a term. You pay for 60 months, and it has a payment that is fixed. So you pay $300, $400, $500 a month for 60 months. That's an installment loan. Then you have your revolving, and your revolving, of course, is your credit cards. So it's a revolving debt. So you continue to get charged interest on it on a monthly basis on whatever your balance is. That's revolving debt. You're able to go charge something with that particular card. That's revolving. If you have a home equity line of credit, or commonly known as a HELOC, HELOC, a HELOC, if you have one of those on your home, then that is also considered revolving. That's also 10% of your credit score. So if you have a good mix and you have low inquiries, then 20% of your score, let's just assume you get 100% of those points. So that's only 20% though. It's only 20% of what your score makes up. So if that's the only thing that you do well in regards to your credit score, then you're only going to have a 20%, which of course is an F. I don't care what school you go to, then that is an F. All right. So look, I'm going to take a pause right here because we're already halfway through the show and I have way, way too many things to go. So we dealt with those two things. And so what I'm going to do right now is throw out a couple shout outs. And then we're going to have the question of the day. So I want to shout out Rochelle Bible. Rochelle Bible celebrated a birthday earlier this week, so happy birthday to you. I have another wedding anniversary I want to shout out. Chad and Latanya Wilson, they celebrated 10 years, so happy anniversary to you guys. I think today is Ramon Stallings' birthday, so happy birthday to you. That's one of my frat brothers. Happy birthday to you. Shannon Sanders has a birthday coming up this week, so happy birthday to you, Shannon. Also, Wayne Dotson. I call Wayne Superman. If you ever seen this guy, you know why I call him Superman. So Wayne Dotson has a birthday as well. So happy birthday to you, Wayne, as well. All right, so let's jump into the question of the day. And if you don't know, if you're new to the show, I come on, I present a topic. We talk about that particular topic throughout the show. And then somewhere in the middle, we have the question of the day. The question of the day comes from you. It comes from the listeners. So email me your questions. 800-creditscoreman@gmail.com. Again, 800-creditscoreman@gmail.com. Email me your questions. I will answer your question in email. We'll go back and forth. We may talk on email, 7-8 emails back and forth. I'll answer your questions there, and you may be a part of the 800 Credit Score Man show because you'll be the question of the day. So the question of the day is sponsored by Cute as a Cupcake, Cupcakery and Bake Shop, where the cupcakes are more than just cute, they're delicious. It's located at 2008 West 81st in Maryville, Indiana. If you're in Northwest Indiana, you got to get by Cute as a Cupcake, and you tell them that the 800 Credit Score Man sent you. All right, so our question of the day comes from Trina. Trina is out of Iowa, and she says that she paid off a couple of loans, and her credit score went down, and she wants to know why did it go down. Well, this is why. We just talked about what? We talked about your mix. So 10% of your credit score is based off of your mix. So if you paid off a couple of installment loans, and those were your only installment loans, now you only have a portion of what makes up your mix. If you have credit cards left, then the credit scoring system is saying this person doesn't have any installment, so your credit score has gone down. Now, I say that's bass backwards. I use that probably too often, but it really is. It's bass backwards. It would seem as though if you had an account, you paid well on it, and you finally paid that account off, that you would basically get some, I'm putting up air quotes, you would get some points for doing so, for being a good steward over that account and paying it on time, but that's not actually what happens. So unfortunately, it's bass backwards. But here's what you can do. Once that happens to you, your credit score will rebound. It will rebound. So you didn't say how many points it went down, but your credit score will rebound. It shouldn't have went down too many points. I would say less than 20 points it should have went down. just because of this particular factor. So it will come back in a couple of months. It'll come back. Keep checking your credit report. Of course, you can check your scores as well. So go to myfico.com. You can check your score there. If you want to go to discover.com, you can get your FICO score from them. Even if you're not a customer of Discover, you can get your FICO score from them for free. So I would suggest that you check your credit score in a couple of months and see if it rebounds. But that's what happens. Unfortunately, that is what happens when it comes to your credit report. And if you pay something off, myself, my credit score is going to go down. Hopefully, I'm hoping that it goes down. Now, doesn't that sound crazy? Because I'm going to pay off my student loans real soon, like real soon. I'm going to pay off my student loans. Finally, I'm going to pay off my student loans. So my credit score is going to take a dip a little bit because I won't have that installment loan on my credit score anymore. So thank you so very much, Trina from Iowa. I appreciate it. We had a good back and forth, and I think we did have about 7 emails. So thank you so very much, Trina. You are officially a part of the 800 Credit Score Man Show family, and you were on the anniversary show of the 800 Credit Score Man Show. Again, the question of the day is brought to you by Cute as a Cupcake, Cupcakery and Bake Shop. Where the cupcakes are more than just cute, they're delicious. Located at 2008 West 81st in Maryville, Indiana. You guys get by Cute as a Cupcake and tell them that the 800 Credit Score Man sent you. All right, so let me jump back into these factors for you guys. And before I do, of course, I've got to do a couple of more shout outs. So I want to shout out some people that have been riding with the show, as far as I'm concerned, from day one. Now, I'm telling you, I can't start mentioning my entire family because then somebody's going to get left out, and there's way too many people out there, and somebody's going to be mad. So I'm not going to even do that. But I am going to mention some people that started with me and is still staying with me. So I want to mention Larry Brownlee. Larry Brownlee is actually an international opera singer. He's been riding with the show since day one. He actually just won like International Male Opera Singer of the Year. So congratulations to you, Larry, on that. And Larry listens to the show when he's all over the world. So he may be in Italy, he may be in Germany, he may be in Spain, he may be in France, and he's listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. And I want to thank him so much for doing so. Then, so I already mentioned Jason Robinson. I also want to mention Jason Townsend. Jason Townsend is almost like my confidant. I talk to him almost on a daily basis, and he continues to inspire me. So I want to say thank you so much to Jason Townsend as well. Floyd Worley is a very good man that has always had my back and been in my corner, been listening from day one. So I want to say thank you so much to him. Fatia Terrell, she is another person. She just had a birthday a couple of weeks ago. May 10th, I believe, is her birthday, so she got a shout out then. I want to say thank you to her. I want to say thank you to Toya King, because she always hits me up and asks me questions and tells me, you ought to do this, you should do that. So I want to say thank you to Toya. She gives me a lot of inspiration as well. LaShondra Williams, I got to mention her as well. So thank you. She always sends out my information. If it's on Facebook at all, she's going to share it. So I want to say thank you so much for LaShondra Williams. Thank you as well. Charles Distance. Charles, I know you didn't know you were going to get a shout out. I purposely didn't tell you I was going to shout you out, but I know you're listening to the show, and I expect to get a text from you or inbox from you saying, hey, good show. So thank you very much, Charles, for listening as well. So I need to give another shout out before I get on to a graduate. So Lewis Williams. Lewis Williams is graduating from high school. It's going to be on May the 25th, I believe. So congratulations for making it through high school. Looking forward to good things coming from you, my brother. And before I move on, I got to give this young lady a shout out. I don't even know this person at all, but I was reading this article. A young lady from Gary, Indiana. Her name is Raven Osborne. Raven is a high school senior, but Raven graduated from college and got her diploma from college from Purdue Northwest prior to even graduating from college. So she is graduating with a degree in sociology. She already has a job lined up. So I want to say congratulations to this phenomenal young lady. That's Raven Osborne. So congratulations to you. Greatness is coming out of Gary, Indiana. All right, so let's get to these 5 factors again. So we dealt with 20%, right? So 10% was your mix. We just talked about that, and then 10% of your inquiries. So if you got, all the points for that, you only at 20%, so you still have an F. So let's go to your length of history. Not a whole lot you can do about your length of history. It just depends. So the young lady I just mentioned, Raven Osborne, she has no length of history. 18 years old, just starting out in the world. She has no length of history, and that's 15% of your score. So now you're only up to, if you add that in as well, you're only up to 35% of your score. So let's take a look at the other two, the top two, the ones that have the most weighting. So you've got these 5 assignments. You did really well on your inquiries. You did really well on the mix assignment, and you're doing all right with your length of history assignment. So let's talk about how well you pay. 35% is the biggest chunk. It's the biggest chunk of what your score is made of. And so if you have paid 100% on time all the time, then you're going to get all the points that deal with that. And this, again, is the biggest factor. So you're going to get all the points for that. So the reason I brought up this subject is because I talked to a few people over the last couple of weeks, and we talked about your debt utilization. Now, that's the second biggest one. So the second biggest one for you is 30%. Is right under how well you pay. Is talking about your debt utilization. Again, this category is basically backwards because it talks about your credit card utilization, which means you've got to have a credit card. And so the reason I brought this up is because I've talked to a lot of people that are afraid to deal with the credit card because they've had credit card issues in the past, or because mama and them had an issue with credit cards or something like that. So they're afraid to get a credit card. You need a credit card. If you don't have a credit card, it's like not turning in one of those 5 assignments that you had. So you turned in your assignment for pay. You turned in your length of history assignment. You turned in your mix assignment, and you turned in your inquiry assignment. Let's say you got 100% on all of those. You're at a 70. That's only 70% of what makes up your score. A 70 is a C, right? Well, maybe I should be asking Raven Osborne, but a 70 is a C. So you're not at the 100% that you need to be or that you want to be because you want to get an A. So you've got to have a credit card. Now listen to me. I am not a proponent of getting you into any debt. So oftentimes I say, know thyself. You've got to know thyself. So you... if you have issues in the past and you're afraid of that, acknowledge it and then do something different. But you need a credit card. You don't have to necessarily use it. You don't need to run it up. If you get a $500 limit, you don't need to run it up to $499. Never go over whatever the limit is, first of all. But you want to keep your balance down to 30% or less of whatever your limit is. So I believe on $500, only $150 or less. And that's going to include any interest charges and anything of that nature. So make sure when you do get that credit card that you keep it in good standing. All right. So you've got to have a credit card, because if you don't have one at all, you're missing out on 30% of your credit score. You're missing out on all of that, all of those points. So you can't get an 800 if you don't have a credit card, because they're talking about your credit card utilization. The utilization is simply your balance versus what your limits are. And so you need to keep it at 30%. Again, if you have $1,000 limit on a card, then 30% of that is only $300. So you've got to keep it that low, that balance that low, so you can get all the points. Now, the lower the better. The lower the better for you. So when we talked about Trina in Iowa and she paid off those installment loans, if you pay off your credit card, you don't get the same penalty, if you will, for doing that, as long as you don't close the credit card. So make sure you don't do that. You do not close the credit card, all right? So I think that's pretty much it that I have for those 5 factors. But if you've got good pay history, you have debt utilization that is in a good range. 30% is really the highest that you can be. When you get it down to 20 and you get it down to 10%, you'll see that your credit score will start to increase. And there are a few ways that you can actually do this as well. And I have done show after show after show about that. So go back and listen to some of the older shows on the 800 Credit Score Man show. All right. And then you'll be able to figure those things out as well and get detail about your debt utilization. All right. So look, I'm pretty much done with the show, except for I had some announcements for you guys, right? So there's going to be some things that are coming about and some changes coming around. So I want to